Water is to California what oxygen is to humans. The state could not exist without it. So when a private company called Poseidon Water decided to build a desalination plant in the city of Carlsbad in San Diego County 20 years ago, they were onto something. Desalination is a process of turning salty ocean water into drinking water, using what's called reverse osmosis. The water can then be put in city pipes as tap water. This is basically the same system used to create some bottled water you get at your local store. And desal is used all over the world in places like Israel, Australia, and South America, and now here in Carlsbad. In 2012, construction began on this billion-dollar project. 3 years later, it was completed. Today, the Carlsbad desalination plant has already produced over 25 billion gallons of drinking water.
It's the largest seawater desalination plant in the Western Hemisphere. It's capable of producing 50 million gallons per day of drinking water from the Pacific Ocean. That's enough water for about 400,000 people.
Poseidon has plans for another billion-dollar desal project, this one in Orange County's famed Surf City, USA, Huntington Beach. Poseidon wants to build next to this old steam generating plant on Pacific Coast Highway, just south of the iconic Huntington Beach Pier.
So in Huntington Beach, we're in the final phase of the permitting process. We anticipate that we'll successfully obtain all the permits that we need to build the facility by the end of 2018. About 3 years to build the facility.
Poseidon's Huntington Beach project has been met with all kinds of challenges and obstacles over the last decade, partly from angry environmentalists who've been trying to stop the project, arguing that desalination harms the ocean, seafloor, and marine life. The company says their design includes using pipes fitted with mesh screens a width of a dime or credit card to bring in the water and keep the sea life out so nothing gets harmed. However, environmentalists like former Huntington Beach Mayor Debbie Cook are concerned about things like all the fish larvae and fish eggs that are going to be killed when the water is extracted through the screens.
Well, a credit card is pretty thick still when you're considering the kind of marine life we're talking about, the phytoplankton, the plankton, the larvae, all of that. And it can absolutely get through a credit card size screen. Remember, the reverse osmosis membrane is a death chamber for all marine life. It kills everything that gets sucked in.
Cook and many other critics are also angry because they say desal is the most energy-intensive way to produce water.
Most people think we need to conserve energy because producing energy puts a lot of carbon in the atmosphere, of which the ocean is the biggest sink. And that's one of the reasons it's warming so dramatically. We have to have the ocean or we will not survive on this planet.
Cook is not alone in her criticism. In fact, several organizations have gone on the record to oppose Poseidon. Organizations like Heal the Bay, California Coastkeeper, the Natural Resources Defense Council, the Surfrider Foundation, and the Sierra Club, just to name a few. And yet, with all that said, one of the nation's most staunch environmentalists is doing everything she can to promote the new Huntington Beach desal project for Poseidon. Former Democrat Senator Barbara Boxer of California has been called the most liberal environmentalist the U.S. Senate has ever seen. Now the Poseidon Company has hired Boxer as their consultant. At a recent public hearing to discuss the proposed Huntington Beach project, Boxer, who normally receives much environmental praise, was booed and heckled when angry enviros confronted her, insisting the former senator had betrayed them. When we met with Boxer at the beach in Carlsbad, she was taking all the criticism in stride.
I'm working on desal because I've always believed that desal is critical in terms of the way we adapt to climate change. It's crucial. And I supported this plant as a senator years ago. So here we have our ocean. There it is, as far as the eye can see. And if there are ways to take the salt out of it in an environmentally sensitive way and using the advances of technology, let's do it. And if a private company is willing to pay for the $1 billion, let's do it. And if we want to know if desal works, let's look at Israel, for an example. And let's look right in Carlsbad, for example, where we're seeing millions of gallons a day of drinkable water.
When I heard you talk about water solutions, desal was always at the bottom of the list. If I recall, you would always talk about water conservation, water replenishment, recycling, and then it was desal.
No, you're wrong. If you look back at my record, it was in the bills that I wrote. Just because I may have said it fourth doesn't mean it wasn't as important as one or two. But obviously, it's all of the above. You've got to do conservation. If we could conserve our way out of this, that would be great. We can't.
You've spent 40 years in public political life, 24 in the United States Senate. You have been a true champion with tremendous conviction about the environment. However, now you've also heard your critics saying you're a shill for Poseidon, or you're sort of a sellout.
I've never heard anyone call me a sellout. Anyone who knows me knows that I've been for Desal for many, many, many years.
Not everyone in Orange County believes former Senator Boxer. Pierre Swan has spent nearly 40 years studying water. Swan is currently a director of the Irvine Ranch Water District Board. He has served on the Metropolitan Water District Board in Los Angeles, which is one of the largest districts in the entire world. Irvine Ranch is one of the agencies within the Orange County Water District to whom Poseidon intends to sell water from its proposed Huntington Beach desal plant.
IRWD does not need the Poseidon plan. We have probably the most reliable water supply in Orange County.
If you don't need it, you don't want it.
That's right. It should be a choice program. Those who want it, get it. Those who don't want it, don't get it.
Swan's Irvine Ranch Water District serves the city of Irvine, most of the city of Lake Forest, parts of Tustin, Newport Beach, Costa Mesa, the city of Orange, and also parts of unincorporated Orange County. That amounts to about 400,000 residential customers who Swan insists do not want to pay for the added cost of Poseidon's desal water.
People could be paying quite a bit more for water if we have to take the Poseidon water, yes. But Poseidon is a program that gives you water every single day of every single month of every single year for 50 years. So what you have to take that water, it's a take or pay contract. So that water will displace water that's half the cost.
We believe, as proven in Carlsbad, that seawater desalination is the right investment.
So when you hear the folks at the Irvine Ranch Water District saying, hey, we don't want your water, it's going to be 2, 3, 4 times as much as a normal cost of water, what do you say to that?
We disagree. You have to look at the cost of desal over the full life of the contract. We believe the cost of purchasing desalination in lieu of importing water will save the ratepayers in Orange County tens of millions of dollars.
It's 3 to 4 times more than imported water, and it's probably 4 or 5 times more than Orange County Water District water. It's much more expensive for something we don't need, and we have better alternatives.
You know, the one thing that gets me is some of our opponents say, oh, the water is a little more expensive. Yes, it's a little more expensive. It's not as expensive as they say, by the way. But the fact of the matter is, try buying your bottled water in the grocery store every day. It's a social justice issue. It's an environmental justice issue.